let's go and put together a few ideas from the ancient sort of material and the psychological frameworks. So in my approach, I see the ego as the creativity we carry as potential. And to fulfill this, we have to be free to be me and be free to be a true individual. And then the soul is carrying the memories and the issues that's got to be healed and the purpose for this one. So that's the DNA code. And if you kind of imagine the DNA code woven down here, we have this sense that, you know, both lines are active within the DNA, and that this is what gets programmed in that first 7 years of our life. So as I move on, this is a simple way I have of approaching, and again, I'm instructing clients all the time, you know, to help them make sense out of the work we're about to do. So I have this simple system of looking at the yin and the yang as the primary drivers in the psyche. And here we see on the left the ego, sun, as the self who I have to learn to become. You know, I think one of the popular misconceptions of sun sign astrology, or what it's done, is confuse the issue. We are, you know, the assumption is I am my sun sign, but we're actually not. We're going to say becoming my sun for all of my life, because the sun is the drive to constantly seek to grow and open creative mojo. And when we're in our sun and it's functional and well and healthy, we're free to be me, and we're open in the heart. We access that creative drive within our nature with joy and passion and authentic, and it all sounds pretty yummy, right? So there's the yang feature, which we are constantly learning to develop. Now, the moon, the yin soul, she is the opposite. She's instinctive and she's old. And she is the, psychologically, my right to feel, have needs, be emotionally safe, and so on. So we have to have our moon in really good condition so she can nurture our sun, because this is the true wholeness process, so that we are able to constantly support our sun's development, right? And so to me, the way into the chart is through the moon, through the soul. We've got to make sure that she is well so that we can create this wholeness outcome. Now, for many women, well, all women, it's in our biological nature, plus it's stereotypical, that we are conditioned to use our nurturing principle to nurture all these fabulous qualities in all sorts of other people, but rarely ourselves. So, you know, it's important that we get that it's about our wholeness process. And this is why, you know, it was Jung who first gave us this idea that the psyche exists in a perpetual state of tension between the urge for the safety of the moon and the daring of the sun. So this is the psychological complex between the sun and the moon. And our job is to create the union of opposites, the alchemical marriage, so that the codes can activate and we can fulfill the soul's purpose using our sun, our creative ego. So this whole business of programming is really important. So as a little person, we've got dad and mum. Oh, and I think I didn't really point that out on that last slide. The male line, the sun, is programmed through the father and the patrilineal line, and the moon, of course, is the mother and the matrilineal line. So in that first 7 years, we've got these caregivers. They're modelling to us. They're giving us messages. Many of them are non-verbal. Some are literal, verbal, and we make what they call early decisions, and these are based on our right to, and I'll just go through the list very quickly, our right to be free to be who we are and be an authentic individual, the sun. Our right to feel and have needs and be emotionally safe, the moon. Our right to think our own thoughts and gather data and communicate and be heard and understood, Mercury. Our right to be valuable and worthwhile and have healthy relationships, Venus. Our right to assert ourselves and take action and be brave when we need to, Mars. Our right to find life meaningful and have a sense of purpose, Jupiter. Our right to set goals and achieve them and to make it in the world, be self-responsible, Saturn. Our right to be free to tap into the higher mind, the realm of ideas, and to recognize our relationship to the collective, the unified field, Uranus. Our right to be sensitive, tap into the higher intuitive planes, Neptune. And last but by no means least, our right to be powerful and to know when to regenerate our lives and to let go and go through death, rebirth. Pluto. So we've made all of our decisions about all of those things by the time we're 7. And that's pretty amazing because it all is deeply unconscious, right? And I like to go through that list. I do that with clients because it introduces them to the planets therapeutically. And it also reminds us that these are the common features of every human being. That's why astrology is so dynamic. It's this universal model, applies to everybody.